In every economic crash, there's an uncomfortable truth. The first people to lose money are rarely the careless ones. They're usually the smartest people in the room, the ones who read the most, who analyze deeper than everyone else, who understand the system, at least on paper. They see the danger early, sometimes painfully early. They act quickly, and they lose first, not by accident, but almost inevitably. When markets begin to feel unstable, smart people do what they're trained to do. They research, they read reports, they compare today with 2008, with 2000, with 1929. They build models, run scenarios, calculate probabilities. Most of the time, this conclusion is correct. The mistake is subtle, believing that being correct means it's time to act. So they sell, they move to cash, they buy protection. Sometimes they even bet against the market. It feels like an information advantage. In reality, it's the beginning of the trap.
After they sell, the market doesn't collapse. It rises. Another 10%, then 20, sometimes 30, for months. During that time, everyone around them is making money. Colleagues talk about gains. Friends brag casually. Even people they once dismissed as emotional investors are profiting. And they're sitting in cash. Not panicking, just waiting, quietly bleeding. Every day brings a new question. Am I wrong? Did I miss something? Is this different this time? This pressure isn't loud. It's slow, persistent, erosive. And it's far more dangerous than panic. This is the phase where people don't feel stupid. They feel isolated. Eventually, something breaks. There are only two paths from here. The first, they give in. They buy back, usually near the top, because the pain of being wrong has become worse than the fear of risk. Soon after, the market collapses. They lose money on the way out and on the way back in. The second path is quieter. They refuse to bend. They double down, short more, add conviction. Because now, prices look even more irrational. But markets can stay irrational longer than capital can survive. Before the reversal arrives, margin calls do. Most people don't choose these paths deliberately. They drift into them. Both end the same way.
Why does this happen so often to intelligent people? Because they believe something subtle, but fatal. They believe markets run on logic. If risk is obvious, price must fall. If valuations are extreme, correction must come. If the signs are clear, collapse must be imminent. But markets don't move on truth. They move on crowds. And crowds don't react when something is true. They react when fear becomes unavoidable. Smart people see the truth early. The crowd sees it late. That gap can last months, sometimes years. And inside it, most of the damage happens. Not financially at first, psychologically. Being early is lonely. You're surrounded by people celebrating while you're waiting for disaster. Every conversation becomes a test of confidence. Every headline reopens doubt. Over time, conviction erodes. Not because the analysis was wrong, but because the human mind isn't built to endure pressure without resolution. By the time the crisis finally arrives, smart people are already exhausted. They don't arrive fresh. They arrive depleted. There's another layer few people talk about. Ego. Smart people are often known as the one who understands.
Friends ask their opinion. Colleagues expect insight. Their identity is tied to being right. When they act early, they don't just commit money. They commit reputation. When the market moves against them, the loss isn't only financial, it's public. And ego under pressure doesn't create better decisions. It creates desperate ones. Doubling down to prove correctness, or exiting completely to escape embarrassment. Both destroy capital. Crises reveal a harsh truth. Being right is not the same as surviving. You can correctly predict a 40% crash and still lose everything if you position too early. Markets reward survival, not intelligence. Survival means accepting missed upside, accepting looking wrong for a long time, accepting that patience feels foolish. Smart people struggle with this, not because they lack knowledge, but because they confuse understanding with control. Smart people don't lose money because they're wrong. They lose because they're right too early. And in markets, early is often fatal. Not immediately, but slowly, quietly, under pressure.